iostudy.net.
Hello everyone, this is Danielle, and in this video on English grammar, we're going to talk about prefer and would rather. So here you have the map for prefer and would rather. As you can see, in half of it we'll talk about the same. What's the same between the two? And in half we'll talk about the differences. So let's see what is the same between prefer and would rather. So the meaning is the same, to talk about general preferences. And here we have a couple of examples of both. So she prefers coffee to tea. She would rather have coffee than tea. And I prefer walking to cycling. I would rather walk than cycle. So as you can see here, the meaning is the same. We can use both in both circumstances to talk about general preferences. Okay, so there are your similarities between the two. Now let's go over to see what are the differences. So the differences, we have prefer and would rather. Prefer. So we use an ing verb or a verb after prefer. For example, I prefer listening to music to watching TV. And I prefer using a keyboard to writing with a pen. So as you can see in both of these examples, we're using a verb or a verb ing or a verb after prefer. Now, what is different with would rather? In would rather, we use the infinitive without to after would rather. And would rather somebody did something. For example, I would rather cook than make a cake. So in this example, we're using the infinitive without to after would rather. Okay, and now would rather somebody did something. For example, I would rather you did not use the pencil to write. So in this example, we're talking about would rather somebody did something. Okay, so here we have the similarities and the differences between using prefer and would rather. So again, you can come back to this mind map at any time to refresh your memory. But if you're ready to move on, we can click here to find the outline for prefer and would rather. So here's your outline for prefer and would rather. So as you can see here, we have prefer to do or prefer doing. Would prefer, would rather, I'd rather you did something, not I'd rather you do. So we have a lot of examples and further information on how to use prefer and would rather in English grammar. So you can read through the outline, and after you're done reading the outline, you can click here to take the test. And in the next video, I'm going to take the test with you. So thanks for joining me today in this video where we talked about the English grammar rules for prefer and would rather. So I'll see you again in our next video. Thank you and goodbye.